There's a hard truth most people don't want to admit. Helping the wrong people will drain you, break you, and sometimes even turn you into their enemy. We're told that kindness is a virtue, that giving is noble, and that offering a helping hand makes the world a better place. And while that's true, not everyone deserves your help. Picture this. You go out of your way to help a friend. You offer your time, advice, and maybe even a little financial support. But instead of using that help to improve their situation, they waste it. Worse, they start expecting it. As if your kindness is an obligation, not a choice. The moment you set a boundary, they act offended. They say you've changed. They guilt trip you. Suddenly, you're the bad guy. This is why the Stoics taught discernment, not just in how we think, but in who we invest in. It is not cruel to withhold help from those who refuse to change. It is cruel to let them pull you down with them. Seneca once said, "You should not give unless the person receiving your gift can benefit from it." True generosity is about lifting others up, not carrying them indefinitely. In this video, we'll uncover 8 types of people you should stop helping immediately. Not because you're selfish, but because some people don't want help. They want an audience for their misery. Let's begin. Number 1. Ingrates. Imagine giving someone a thoughtful gift, something you spent time picking out, something you truly believe would make them happy. But instead of gratitude, you get a shrug, maybe even a complaint. "I was hoping for something better." It stings, doesn't it? Not just because they didn't say thank you, but because their response reveals something deeper. They believe they were owed. Ingrates are people who take, and take. Yet nothing is ever enough. They expect help, demand favors, and if you ever say no, they make you feel like you're the problem. They have a never-ending list of reasons why your help isn't good enough, why you should have done more, why they deserve more. But no matter how much you give, their cup is never full. The Stoics warned against this trap. Seneca reminds us that the greatest gift is the one given freely, without expectation. True kindness comes from within, from a place of virtue, not from a need to be appreciated. But at the same time, Stoicism teaches us that our energy and generosity should be placed wisely. If someone continually dismisses your efforts, that is a sign to stop. You don't need a thank you to be a good person, but you also don't need to waste your time on those who see generosity as their birthright. Help where it makes a difference, not where it's expected. Number 2, the lazy. Picture someone who constantly complains about their life, how they hate their job, how they never get any opportunities, how life is unfair to them. But when you suggest solutions, offer to help them apply for a better job, or even give them a chance to improve, they do nothing. Why? Because deep down, they don't want to change. The lazy person doesn't need help. They need a reason to take responsibility. But instead of looking for motivation, they look for someone to blame. Their boss, their parents, the government, the universe. Everyone is at fault except them. And if you're not careful, they'll add you to that list. Epictetus put it simply, "How long will you wait before you demand the best of yourself?" If someone is unwilling to demand the best of themselves, you cannot do it for them. And if you try, you'll end up exhausting yourself, carrying their burdens while they sit back and watch. Do not mistake enabling for kindness. Helping should empower people, not make them dependent. The best thing you can do for a lazy person? Step back. Let them struggle. Let them feel the weight of their own inaction. Sometimes, the only way people learn to swim is when they finally realize no one is going to carry them to shore. These 2 types, the ungrateful and the lazy, can drain you faster than you realize. One makes you feel unappreciated. The other makes you feel responsible for their failures. Both will pull you down if you let them. Number 3, the irresponsible. We all know someone who seems to live in a state of constant chaos, always in trouble, always needing a favor, always suffering from bad luck. But if you look closely, you'll notice a pattern. Their problems are never their fault. They missed a deadline. Their boss is unreasonable. They forgot to pay a bill. The system is unfair. They lost yet another job. Everyone's out to get them. No matter what happens, there is always someone or something to blame. But what you will never hear is the one thing that actually matters. This was my responsibility. But the irresponsible refuse to realize this. Instead, they rely on others to clean up their mess. If you're generous, if you're kind, if you have a sense of duty, they will use it against you. At first, it might seem harmless to help, maybe even noble. But soon, you become their safety net. And when you finally say no, expect tantrums, guilt trips, and accusations of being selfish. But that's the moment you must stand firm. Stoicism teaches that true growth only happens when we take ownership of our choices. If you constantly rescue someone from consequences, you are robbing them of the chance to grow. The best way to help an irresponsible person is simple. Let them face the results of their actions. Number 4. The manipulators. Manipulators are some of the most dangerous people to help. Not because they need it, but because they pretend they do. They don't ask for help. They orchestrate situations where you feel obligated to offer it. They guilt trip, distort facts, and use your empathy against you. Maybe it's a friend who constantly reminds you of how much they've done for you, so you feel like you owe them. Maybe it's a co-worker who subtly drops hints about struggling, waiting for you to step in. Or maybe it's a family member who makes you feel selfish for prioritizing your own needs. Whatever the tactic, the goal is always the same: control. Epictetus warned about this. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. Manipulators provoke, not with anger, but with carefully planted ideas that make you question yourself. So, how do you protect yourself? By recognizing the pattern. Ask yourself, would they do the same for me? Is this request reasonable, or am I being pressured? Do I feel guilty for setting boundaries, even when I shouldn't? The moment you see manipulation for what it is, you break the spell. The best response is clarity. Set firm boundaries, ask direct questions, and never let guilt override reason. If they truly needed help, they wouldn't have to twist your arm to get it. Number 5. The perpetual critics. There's a difference between feedback and fault-finding. The first is given to help. The second is given to tear down. Perpetual critics don't want you to improve. They want you to doubt yourself. They nitpick everything you do, find flaws where there are none, and make sure that no matter how much you achieve, you never feel good enough. If you succeed, they say it was luck. If you fail, they say they saw it coming. They want control over your confidence. But here's what the Stoics knew. No one's opinion matters more than your own. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. The more you chase approval, the more you give critics power. And the truth is, no matter what you do, some people will never be satisfied. So instead of fighting for their validation, take back your energy. Listen to feedback, but filter out negativity. Ask, is this meant to help or hurt? Remember, their criticism says more about them than you. A person who criticizes everything is often unhappy with themselves. Their words are a reflection of their own struggles, not your worth. Learn to smile, nod, and move on. These 3 types, the irresponsible, the manipulators, and the critics, will exhaust you if you let them. One drains you with their problems, another deceives you into helping, and the last undermines your self-worth. The best way to deal with them? Recognize the pattern and stop playing their game. Number 6. The narcissists. A narcissist world revolves around one person, themselves. They expect admiration, but rarely offer genuine appreciation. They take but do not give. And worst of all, they drain you without remorse. At first, they may appear confident, even charismatic. They know how to charm, persuade, and manipulate their way into people's lives. But spend enough time around them, and you'll start to feel something is off. Conversations always circle back to their achievements. Your struggles? They're dismissed, minimized, or even used against you. Seneca warned us about people like this. Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. The process is mutual. For men learn while they teach. But with narcissists, there is no mutual growth, only imbalance. They expect your energy, time, and loyalty, but will never return the favor. They believe relationships exist to serve them, not to be shared. So, what can you do? Step back. Stop expecting reciprocity where there is none. Recognize that no amount of patience, understanding, or sacrifice will change them. Your time and energy are finite. Spend them on those who uplift, not those who drain. Number 7. The Opportunists. An opportunist is not always obvious. They don't beg, demand, or pressure. Instead, they wait. They wait for the perfect moment, when you are generous, vulnerable, or in a position to give, and then they take. They borrow money and conveniently forget to pay it back. They show up only when they need a favor. They build relationships not on respect, but on utility. And when they no longer need you, they vanish. The Stoics teach us that true generosity must be rooted in wisdom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." This means we should be kind, but not naive. Giving should be an act of virtue, not a response to manipulation. To protect yourself, observe patterns. Are they around only when they need something? Set limits. Help within reason, but do not exhaust yourself for someone who gives nothing in return. Accept reality. Some people do not value relationships, only what they can extract from them. A truly reciprocal connection is based on mutual care, not silent transactions. Recognize the difference and invest in people who see you as a person, not as a resource. Number 8. The Envious. Envy is not always loud. It can be hidden behind fake compliments, subtle jabs, or passive-aggressive remarks. Some people will smile in your face while secretly hoping you fail, because your success reminds them of their own shortcomings. Unlike opportunists, envious people don't want to take from you. They want to see you lose. They feel threatened by your progress because in their mind, life is a competition, and someone else's gain means their own loss. Seneca said, "You should not give circumstances the power to rouse anger, for they do not care at all." In other words, do not waste energy fighting envious people. They are trapped in their own suffering, prisoners of their own insecurities. Instead, protect your peace by avoiding comparisons. Their envy is not about you. It's about their own dissatisfaction. Not seeking validation. The envious will never be happy for you, no matter what you do. Focusing on your path. Let their resentment be their burden, not yours. True success is measured not by others' approval, but by your own growth. Stay focused, stay humble, and let the envious watch from the sidelines. Helping others is noble, but only when done with wisdom. Not everyone deserves your time, your energy, or your sacrifice. There are those who will take without gratitude, drain without remorse, and manipulate without conscience. Recognizing them is not selfish. It is necessary. Think about it. You've likely helped someone, maybe a friend or family member, over and over again, only to see them repeat the same mistakes, never learning, never changing. Maybe you bailed someone out of a tough spot, only for them to find themselves back in the same position next time, expecting you to step in again. That's not helping. It's enabling. And it's okay to recognize that. By continually giving to those who don't learn or appreciate, you risk losing yourself in the process. Internal validation is key. Do not help to be liked, to be admired, or to avoid conflict. Help because it aligns with your values. A Stoic does not seek external approval. They act from principle. Think about that friend who always asks for favors, but never offers anything in return. If you're helping because you feel guilty or expect something in return, you're off course. True acts of kindness are done without strings attached, without the need for praise. Likewise, personal responsibility is non-negotiable. You cannot carry someone who refuses to walk. Helping the irresponsible does not teach them accountability. It shields them from it. Imagine you're at work and a colleague constantly dumps their tasks onto you, then blames you when things go wrong. By picking up the slack, you may feel like you're doing them a favor, but all you're really doing is letting them shirk their responsibility. Instead of stepping in every time, let them experience the natural consequences of their inaction. This way, they learn. You might feel like you're being harsh, but in reality, it's the most compassionate thing you can do for them and for yourself. This is where wisdom and discernment come in. Not every cry for help is genuine, and not every act of kindness is well-placed. Ask yourself, am I truly helping or am I enabling? Am I being generous or am I being exploited? Consider a scenario where someone is constantly borrowing money from you without paying it back, offering excuses each time. You want to help them, but each time you do, they come back for more, taking advantage of your goodwill. This is the moment to reflect on whether your kindness is being manipulated. And then boundaries. You owe it to yourself to protect your peace. A Stoic does not allow others to drain their energy or dictate their emotional state. You can be compassionate without being a martyr. Take the example of a family member who constantly demands your attention, draining your emotional resources while never considering your needs. Maybe they always want to talk about their problems, but never ask about yours. Setting a boundary and saying, I need to take care of myself right now, is not selfish, it's self-care. In fact, it's the most loving thing you can do for both of you, because when you protect your peace, you're in a better position to help others when it's truly needed. Through all this, equanimity remains our anchor. Criticism, manipulation, and envy will come, but none of it should shake your inner tranquility. Consider how people can sometimes criticize you harshly for simply living your truth. Maybe it's an old friend who belittles your accomplishments out of jealousy, or a colleague who tries to undermine you for their own gain. Instead of reacting with anger or hurt, remain steady. Let others act as they will, and respond only in ways that serve your growth. When you stay rooted in your values, these external forces lose their power over you. So, what is the Stoic way to help others? Help thoughtfully, not blindly. Support those who genuinely strive for better, but never at the cost of your own well-being. The goal is not just to be kind, it is to be wise. Remember, just because someone asks for help doesn't mean they truly need it or are ready for it. For example, if your friend constantly comes to you for advice but refuses to take any action on it, it's time to recognize that they're not looking for guidance. They're just looking for comfort in their inaction. In this case, true help may be stepping back and letting them face their own challenges. Because true strength lies not just in giving, but in knowing when to walk away. The Stoic understands that sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is to not offer help at all. By learning when to step back and allow others to grow on their own, you preserve your energy, your peace, and your integrity. You can be a source of wisdom without being drained by others' failures. And in doing so, you create space for healthier, more balanced relationships that align with your values, not just with the needs of others.